Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2 of NiP versus Navi set to get underway. Navi now 1 loss from elimination. What are you thinking here, LD? What does Navi need to do to stay alive?
Don't tilt.
Don't tilt.
I mean, I think for this Navi team, they've had a lot of really frustrating tournaments lately. Like DAC, they barely scraped their way together as the wildcard team, but we're lucky to make it in. A lot of other tournaments they've been getting knocked out of. I think D2CL, they may have qualified for, they're close to qualifying, but I believe ESL they got knocked down to the lower bracket, if not already eliminated from the tournament. This team has not exactly been putting together a lot of wins. So it's, they've been cycling through a different 5th player, and I doubt they're blaming any one individual too much because, they haven't been playing together with this 5 for very long, but they got to just focus on this game. Don't overreact to that loss. They can still take the series, but if they start tilting, man, they're going to get run over by this calm, cool, collected NiP squad.
That's true. Looking at this draft, though, it's going to be some more of the same, at least for NiP, except this go-around, they've got that scary buddy to go with the Bristleback. They took the first pick, Wisp. Navi react with Disruptor. Great counter pick to the Wisp. They take Lina, who's also pretty good against the Wisp. He's very squishy, so you can kind of blow him up, but Wisp Bristle. The Bristleback, I would say, is one of the driving forces that gave Navi a hard time in that last match. Now with a Wisp backing him up, good luck, dude.
Yeah, I think this is where Navi really want to ban out those squishier backliners that dish out the big damage. So the Shadow Fiend is one of the big ones. We saw the Zeus last game. I'm not sure how worried they'll be about a Zeus pick this time around. Lina really can just... Shadow Fiend can trade farm and use it a little bit better potentially, but Lina can just wreck the Zeus in lane with her Dragon Slave Harass, the kill potential when she gets level 6, as well as just having excellent bit range. So I think they're a little bit less worried about the Zeus here. I'm not sure we'll even see that banned. Potentially, they're considering a Tiny ban as well. I don't think it's a hero NiP run too often, but if you're worried about Tiny Wisp, it almost doesn't matter who you're playing. You're just going to ban the Tiny.
They do actually run it on occasion. It's not their tried and true. You see a Wisp and you say, okay, this is definitely Wisp Tiny, but it's always a threat that they'll pull out. We've even seen NiP play just a regular Tiny. Era, at least on more than one occasion, has played just a safe lane, carry Tiny without a Wisp. Usually it's because it's a deny pick where a Wisp gets picked up and they haven't banned it out, but they're not afraid to play just a good old-fashioned Tiny and bring him into the fray. So, I mean, frankly, it could be a Tiny pickup where Wisp tethers back and forth, choosing between the Bristle and the Tiny, depending on who is in the right place at the right time. Still a lot of options for NiP. Bans from Navi, they'll take out the Witch Doctor as well as the Shadow Fiend. Interesting to see them banning the Witch Doctor, another one of those supports that is traditionally very good against the Wisp.
Yeah, it's normally considered one of the... It's also considered good against Bristleback because of Maledict, one of the better ways to deal with him. So, obviously, I guess for Navi, this is... I think they're a little worried about the heal strat. NiP like to run their cheesy, pushy type lineups early on. We haven't seen too many all-in pushes as of late, but the occasional...
Roland and Fogged were very surprised to see that you have shaved. Especially, Roland does not type in chat very often, but so all caps, WTF.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't want to shave, but I fucked up shaving today, so I was telling Andrew about this. Like, I had my razor set to, like, just trim the beard, but, like, somehow it wasn't actually at the setting that it said it was, and so all of a sudden I've got this patch, like, right down the middle of my face of, like, fully shaved, so I'm like, well, I guess I'm going all in, boys. It was not the plan, but it'll grow back. I may be losing some hair up top, but the beard comes back quickly. That's not
good.
a worry.
That's good. There you go. Well, you look younger, I think. I'm picture those videos on the old LD Dota YouTube of the young-faced LD talking about Dota.
Baby face. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I also the other thing was I cut myself too, pretty badly. So I showed up. Andrew's like, dude, we got to start. The game's already begun. I'm like bleeding.
I'm like, what? I couldn't figure out what was taking so long. And as soon as you came down, I was like, well, that would explain it. Okay, well,
you got hit by a bus, man, but all right.
Wow.
Draft does continue now. Drow Ranger comes out for Navi. 4 ranged heroes. Nice mix of magic as well as physical damage with this pick, and this looks like that off-lane lane. That disgusting 4-second stun. Ugh.
We saw Universe play it last night in Summit Phase 2 America, and oh god, it's actually ridiculous. You get Tranquils, you get yourself a Soul Ring, and that's pretty much all the Morphling
Everything
needs.
else is luxury.
Yeah, you just move around. If you can get a Blink Dagger, oh, forget about it. Next thing you know, you're stunned for 4 seconds.
It seems like the really obnoxious combo is the Blink Yules.
Oh, yeah.
I think I saw DK Phobos do it the other day.
It's exactly what Universe did yesterday.
Yeah, because, like, basically with the Blink waveform, nobody can run from you. Like, even an Anti-Mage or Queen of Pain has trouble escaping from a Morphling at that point. The Yules gives you some much needed mana regen, and it also just lets you hold them in place while you wait for the adaptive to cool down, so you can get another stun off. And that thing just, I mean, you have them stunned like 50% of the time almost. It's a 10-second duration cooldown, and it's about a 4-second stun, 4.25 to be exact. So
yeah,
it's almost 50% of the time stun. And I wouldn't even say BKB is that great against it, because it comes pretty fast. There's a very quick projectile speed. So if you don't know it's coming or you don't preemptively BKB, you can still get stunned by it. It's not quite a hex, but it's kind of close to it.
It's pretty close. And given that it's AoE in that little area, it's almost better than a hex in some cases. We saw yesterday, it was against a Troll Warlord, and he thought, okay, I'm going to get my BKB. He even rushed to the BKB. It was Phase Boots, Helm of the Dominator, Black King Bar. And he couldn't even get it off. I think he ended that game with a 10-second BKB, because every time they saw him, they hit him with an adaptive, and they bursted him down before he could even react. But other heroes worth mentioning here, NiP will try the Lich once again. Worked well for them in the last game, but Chaos Knight, their exciting pickup. This is fun. We haven't seen too much Wisp CK. We saw it picked up once at Major All-Stars. Now 2 Wisp partners to choose from. Wisp CK, a blast from the past.
Saw it from Loda, from Alliance. And it was a game where they should have beaten Secret. They had this. He went for a Midas on the CK and then back into an Armlet. It looked like he wanted to go Armlet. Then you can't even cast. You're just seeing in the chat.
Babyface is just so perfect from what we were just talking about. It's actually perfect.
But yeah, so Loda ran this the other day, and I've been a little skeptical in CK as a hero just because it feels like games tend to go late right now. It's difficult to end them early. He doesn't flash farm that well, but Loda went for this Midas Armlet build, and he was behind, and he ended up catching up. He was the most farmed here in the game. The guy was out of control, and then there was this horrible fight near the Roche Pit where he bought back, he died again, and then Secret just throned them. And it was when Alliance were leading by 2 full lanes of Rex. So CK, definitely a hero that I think is maybe underrated. I didn't give the CK the respect it deserved in that series, and it ended up delivering, so I'm excited to see how much it can get done this time around.
He does tend to shine in matchups where there isn't a lot of AoE damage, and this is one where there's a lot of tools to try and kill those illusions. Most of these heroes have some sort of an AoE ability that can clip at least some of their buddies.
You know, that was the crazy thing, is when Alliance ran him, it was up against Arteezy Shadow Fiend. He went for Refresher Shadow Fiend. And even with 2 Requiems, he couldn't kill the Illusion Army because Loda had, like, Heart, Manta. I think he completed a Scotty towards the end, or maybe not, but I mean, he was and had an Armlet, so he's like sitting at 4,000 health for his illusions. Even with the bonus damage, you just couldn't kill them. And in this case, like you're saying for Navi, they lack the AoE to burst the illusion. So if Era gets fat, I'm pretty worried for Navi. I don't think they have great tools to deal with the CK army.
I like this Puck final pick here. Gives them a nice, good tempo controller. Limp will take it, so probably a mid lane Puck, something we don't see too often these days, will be... He's usually been in the off lane, I think. The few times you see Puck pop into a draft, but this should help control the game and make some space for that CK early on. So CK, known as a little bit more of a tempo-based Wisp partner, I think, where he doesn't quite flash farm to recover if he falls behind, but if you can get a couple of early kills, if your first couple of relocates are successful, that's when this hero is just ridiculous. Maybe a fast Armlet could be an option here.
The one time where I think CK can be played like a harder carry and just farm a lot is when he's got a Magnus on his team. If you just empower him, he can clear Ancient stacks. He's got really good stats and tends to build a lot of stat-based items as an illusion carry. So I think with the Magnus, he can be played more in that style. Or you can do pull a Loda and get an early Midas. We saw that the other day. But barring that, yeah, I would agree. I don't think he keeps up that well. At the same time, nobody on Navi is really an exceptional farmer. The Morph lane, even if he's played as a carry, is not. And your Lena's pretty good. Lena's pretty good at clearing stacks, but generally the way Lena's played is not as someone who's just going to be ricing up. So I think the most interesting thing for me will be this Havos Drow. It's a very squishy hero. We saw Havos play ultra aggro last game, and he's got to be very mindful of his positioning. They do not have the best defensive supports. They don't have a Dazzle. They don't have a Shaker this time around, and it feels like Navi, if a Vos gets caught out, is just going to be total food this game.
Yeah, absolutely right. Big cause for concern, potential cause for concern here for Navi. So how do these lanes look like they'll settle down? The battle for the runes, they'll go one apiece. Wisp gets one on the Dire side, and Dendy, he'll be here on the Lina. He gets that top bounty rune. Vanscore will be on the line. Looks like he'll be parked up in the mid lane for now. Phobos does take the Morphling off lane, and that leaves Sineko on the Ruptor to be supporting Havost here in the safe lane. Havost, he's still in love, and he's saying it loud and proud. Sing it from the rooftops, Havost. Hopefully it helps you out in this game because you guys need this one.
Now Dendy is going to be up against the duel lane, gets pulled in by the Reality Rift off the bat. It's not going to be a kill or anything, but...
Lion nowhere to be found, and already just dominating on this Lina.
Wants to just ward off this camp, it looks like. Try and slow down any sort of stacking shenanigans from NiP. I think they're more likely to stack the Ancients than that camp, to be honest. I suppose they could stack it for the Bristle, but it feels like if anything gets stacked, it's probably just Seal Kid walking over to the Ancients right now, so... I'm not sure how much this ward will actually do, but they are worried about the potential for NiP to get away with the Wisp pick in lane and maybe find a kill or two, and then on top of that, just snowball the early farm.
Yep, a fair point. So Limp will actually go safe lane. I don't know why I thought he would go mid with a Wisp in the game. It was a little bit of a dirt moment there, but he'll get some solo safe lane farm. Seal Kid will take the Lich off lane to join Jonas once again on the Bristleback.
I mean, it's possible the Wisp goes to the side lane. Loda went aggressive tri-lane Wisp. Well, he wasn't playing the Wisp, but Ake was on it.
Yeah,
and that is anything's possible with Wisp. It's a pretty versatile hero.
This is the same off lane that NiP did in the last match with the Wisp Bristle. You get a lot of lane control for the Bristleback. You secure his farm, and the double slow is actually pretty potent. This is a duo that has a lot of kill potential. Very hard to
dirty
get away
Lich.
From. the dirty Lich.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
It just makes sure that you get value out of your offlane with this. A lot of early levels will come out for both, and
yeah,
I don't know how much kill potential there is here for Navi. We'll see, but I think for now they'll just be content if they're not feeding the Bristleback. It's a hero that can roll over the lanes early on, and the big concern for me is just going to be Dendy. He should be able to sit back, I think, with the Dragon Slave and farm, but if you ever get caught out of position, man, that is a freebie kill for NiP.
Yeah, definitely. And Lina, another one of those momentum-based heroes that you don't want to hand over any undue deaths
and you can see he realizes that. He gets the boots first and not the bottle, wants to be a little more survivable if they try to go on him.
So Limp, he's now in a 1v1 scenario against Phobos, so he should be able to find an okay amount of farm, but so far he's in Strug City, 11-7 on the Morphling, and Puck right now only 4-1. So this Puck really struggling in the safe lane.
Yeah, it's 1v1 against Morphling. Puck is, especially without access to runes, I wouldn't say is by no means a lane dominator. Versus certain melee heroes can dominate, but Phobos just played well on top of that. He's got the Drow Aura. That's probably the most important thing to point out here as well. Is with that, CSing will be easier. He's got the boots picked up now.
And the early Bassi, so he's got a good bit of extra damage. And yeah, you're right. He does hit a good bit harder than the Puck at this stage.
Yeah, just got to get to level 5. Once you get that level 3 stun, it's all gravy here.
Although, frankly, I think what's scarier is Havost's farm. He is not CSing well. 8-2. They do a pull through into the hard camp, so that'll help him out a little bit. But Bristleback way out farming him in this lane. And I think there's no doubt that this Bristleback will be a serious threat coming into the mid game, sort of like we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, it's a pretty good Bristle game. I feel like they have tools to deal with them, though, having 5 ranged heroes and a Drow, as well as having some good bursts from the Lina and the Lion. Even just having the adaptive strike, so like you could just constantly reset. Bristle runs at you, you blast them back, force them off of your heroes, give them a chance to back off, heal up. I think their lineup deals with the Bristle a bit better than what we saw last game, where they had very little repositioning tools. They didn't have that many long duration stuns. What they had was Bash Lords. They had heroes that want to get up at his face, the Spirit Breaker, the Troll, but who couldn't survive against it. So I think in theory, matchup-wise, they're better equipped, but you know, you say that, and then Wisp relocates on top of your entire team, and everyone dies. So
they do have the double lasers. If you can manage to get the line and the Lina ult to the front of the Bristleback, that's basically a sure kill, at least in most cases. So you're right. They definitely have a bit more weaponry this go-around.
Looks like they want to set up here bottom lane. They've got some Frost Arrows available. Double damage Sineko coming in, but Jonas is fairly tanky. They need this kinetic field to connect. It will. Beautiful glimpse back as well. They get the kill. Navi striking first. Now mid lane. Simultaneously, Dendi gets brought down as NiP dive him aggressively. Right before the lean is able to get 6, only 5. This is the ideal time because once he gets 6, he could just blast Hanskin away almost from full HP and kill him all.
Yep, so good news for NiP mid, but better news for Navi. Not only do they get the first blood, but it goes to Havos. So now this Dro Ranger can start to recover a little bit, has boots, now picks up a wand, just working on that basic kit. But definitely great stuff for their safe lane farmer. The power of the Disruptor, when you can be the aggressor like that, Glimpse sets up pretty easy kills. Mid lane now, Era, Reality Rift onto Dendi, connects with the stun, Hanskin's there with some Wisp balls. The LSA will be off the mark, but they don't quite have the damage to bring down Dendi with Van Score nearby. The 2-on-2 in the mid lane getting quite aggressive. Dragon Slave will hit only creeps.
And I want to point out that he drops the... Oh, bottom lane. No time to talk about that. There's a dive on Havos. He's been caught out here. Will end up going down to the Quills, and the Glimpse back just a bit late. Not sure if it was cooling down or if they thought that it wouldn't be needed there for Tsuniko, but in the end, it does cost Havos his life. But yeah, back to mid lane. This Sentry Ward, I think it's exceptionally important when you're up against CK to make sure he doesn't have a Hill Ward, because if he does, he can just pull you down into the river very easily. So generally, we see teams wanting to remove that Hill Ward mid, but I think this is especially a game where you need to make sure they don't have that. Unfortunately for Navi, there was no ward, so a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, but the right thought indeed. So checking in on the top lane again, Morphling and Puck. It's a pretty even farm fest. We were talking about this Morphling saying he just needs Tranquil's Soul Ring and anything else is luxury, but at this rate, he'll have some pretty decent items to play around with. We'll see Van Score in the bottom lane, initiated on by Seal Kid. Starts things off with a Frost Nova. Now Hanskin even joins the party, tethers up to Jonas, and it's a dead Lion. Easy kill there. Wisp will find the kill with his spirits. And yeah, Limp, he deploys that Dream Coil. A 2-for-0 in the bottom lane. Great rotations from NiP. You don't really expect a level 6 Puck to start roaming around and finding kills, but it happens. Catches Navi off guard, and now 4-1. NiP pulling to the lead nice and early.
Yeah, it's a substantial lead as well. Already up 1750 gold, it looks like 1750 experience. I think the key thing here is that Wisp about to get level 6, already 5.25. You get level 6 on the Wisp, and there's some squishy heroes to be diving, man. There's your tether. Dendi dropping low, has the Laguna Blade, could chuck it onto Hanskin, but would end up paying with his life. Instead gets nothing in return. DK Phobos going to join the lane. Wave in. We'll clean him up. But with that kill, Wisp is now only a quarter of a level from 6. Well worth it. And
killing spree on the Wisp. Wow.
Yeah. In retrospect, maybe Dendi should have just turned with the Laguna, but
yeah.
And the Morphling could have stayed top and farm, but it's one of those things where by the time he casts it, he may have just died to an orb, and ultimately he's dead anyway. It's just the Wisp who's going to die, so not the biggest
is just a little slow with the Glimpse there. Actually ended up helping out Era. As soon as he got the kill, just sent him back to his own high ground, and Era says, well, thanks, dude. That was a nice little blink there.
They smoke, but it's been spotted out by a ward here from NiP.
Freshly placed as well from that Wisp, just out of range of this Sentry. Oh, this hurts so much for Navi. An odd ward spot. You don't normally expect it to be there, and with the Sentry, it probably gives them a little false sense of security that there's no way there's vision in the general vicinity. Very sneaky from the Wisp, and great positioning from NiP. Maybe trying to bait this out a little bit, hoping Navi will overcommit and dive under the tower with Era hiding in the fog. Navi, they know better, though, and they won't go for it without that golden opportunity.
This is a recoverable deficit here for Navi. They are very squishy, but they've got excellent kill potential. They have the support, or the off-lane lane, not support lane. The setup hero who's very tanky, can go around the map. He's almost got the max of dash to a strike. That will be the key level for DK Phobos once he hits 8 here. And with that, then they can start finding kills. It makes it easy for Lina to land her stun. It allows the Disruptor to connect on a kinetic field. So I don't think they should lose hard or feel like this game is over by any means, but it's more, you know you're down 0-1. Is it a loser bracket match, so the loser is eliminated, and they are trailing here in Game 2. It's hard to maintain your composure in these circumstances.
Now, some lane rotations have come about. Havos is taking over farm in the mid lane. Now they've got Phobos in the safe lane, and Puck is just getting free farm up top. Limp was getting boxed out pretty hard, but now he's had the opportunity to recover a little bit. He'll have power treads on the way. And, of course, that rotation down bottom has really helped his bottom lane. Now it's Tsuniko that trots his way up top and will maybe look to leech some XP once creeps push into the tower. Phobos does have that Staff of Wizardry. I imagine that's the beginning of a Yule Scepter. So things starting to come together a little bit. But looking at net worth, Havos very, very low. So is Dendi, really. You compare them to the Wisp, and they're about on point with each other. This is one of the scarier stats, I think, how well this Wisp is farming. He's picked up quite a few kills and
he's level 6
already
now.
has earned boots and a bottle. This is everything a Wisp could ever want at 9.5 minutes. Jeez.
It's the dream game for a Wisp already. I mean, maybe not the fastest Wisp start ever, but it's in that top like 10 to 20% for sure. With Relocate online now, Morphling, the only hero that can safely just sit in a lane by himself. Anyone else who does will be punished. Did this ward see them smoke again? I don't think so.
I don't think so this time. Era, though, on the run. Glimpse right on the edge of the kinetic field, but he hops out of it with the ultimate. Nicely played there. Now the Wisp comes in with a tether. Chaos Knight will take the Laguna. He'll go down first, but a Dream Coil on 4. Sets it up for Limp. The cleanup is here. He's got 2. Make it 3. This could be an ultra kill for the Fairy Dragon, and it is! Dendi goes down. The Dream Coil happens. A 1 for 4 and a bloody disaster in the mid lane.
Oh, God, that was just disgusting. I think Puck, every nuke hits on 3 or 4 heroes there. His damage done in that fight, 1,600. Okay, maybe not every nuke, but a lot of them. And with that, he literally just finished the Treads bottle no tally, and that was pretty much all he had. Now he's got 1,600 gold.
He got 1,300 net worth gain out of that fight right there. That is
suddenly Blink Dagger after, you know, quote unquote losing his lane versus DK Phobos. But
let's just say he's recovered at this point.
He's recovered and then some.
He's on point to have a great timing on this Blink Dagger, and of course Navi losing so many heroes there. That hurts. That's a lot of cores that go down. That's a Havos dead.
You know, the worst part is that they use 2 smokes in these past 2 engagements. The first one they get nothing. The second one they give up 4 kills.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to ambush NiP. They've got one more opportunity to do it. They are making their go on Era mid. Relocate out is available if need be.
I don't think
they can't even scratch him.
They're hanging in there for now. All right. Looks like Era will move into an armlet here. It's the build that he's quite fond of. Has the Helm of Iron Will already with Powered Treads and Bracer. And they will just relocate back there, hopped back to save that fight. 9-3, it's NiP ahead by now about 5K net worth and experience. The snowball keeps on rolling.
Yeah, 5 ranged heroes, Drow draft. I mean, you try to keep on repeating that mantra in your head if you're Navi, but they have 4 heroes that are just food if they get caught out. And the Morphling, I think, should be almost invulnerable. If he dies, it's because NiP have like 4 or 5 heroes just hunting him all around the map. As a strength Morphling, you don't have to worry about getting your morph off. You're always tanky by default, and love the Yule Scepter as well. So again, I just feel like DK Phobos is the only one that can make plays for Navi, but he's got to, because if he's not going around creating space, soon enough NiP will get their next set of core items. Interested to see what Jonas is going to go for. He's picked up a Void Stone on the Bristleback. Not an item you see too often. Maybe he's building a Yule Scepter of his own.
Maybe a freebie up top on Van's score. Handskin comes in with his, nope, not ultimate, just tethers up his friend, and they will find an easy kill there. Now Limp gets pulled back with the Disruptor Glimpse. Oh, is he going to go down? He's got the orb, just barely lives from bottle sipping, and the healing from Handskin. Almost punished for that kill on the Lion, but he survives and gets out scot-free.
Yeah, use a bottle charge, phase shift, you get that regen. It's a nice way to recover.
Very nice.
Now Dendi getting caught out mid, 2-second stun. Gera rolling the dice here, and well, doesn't really need to because he's got backup inbound from Lip. They have level 6 though. Oh, they can't get the kill. One more auto attack is all that's required. Just hit him once, phase score. You can do it. He gets the kill. God, they needed that bad. The Wisp gonna go back. Chain Frost though, turning it the other way. Havos will fall as well. It's an unstoppable Wisp who racks up another double kill. Just got the Blink Dagger. Now another 1,000 gold in the bank.
This Puck has just erupted into a fury of damage in this game. They've made so much space for the Bristleback. He's just been farming this whole time.
He's almost he's level 11. He's 2 levels above any other hero, and Limp, I mean, he's got half the CS of the Bristle. Well, 34 CS less, so a little more than half. I think this might even be a Dagon game, honestly. You're so far ahead at this point. Like,
yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. He's already got the Null Talisman. Of course, that, you know, the Aghanims, the Hex, all these types of items are fine as well. Maybe even a Yule Scepter, but I would love to see Limp just play aggro, get that early Dagon, and try to just blow up Navi supports all over the map.
Yeah, and Navi do not have the tankiest team. A lot of Squish Masters, Morphling the only one that's pretty beefy. And I agree with you. I think that burst damage will just allow Limp to just keep finding kill after kill. What is this Bristleback going for, though? Looks like, okay, it's the Yule Scepter. So doing things a little differently here. Picks up the Casualist Cloak against all this magic damage. I think a great call, but some setup. It does give him some movement speed, which is great on the Bristle, but an interesting item choice. You don't see that on him too often. Usually if you want movement speed, S and Y is more than enough. Yeah, they may punish Limp here. Gets hit by the adaptive. That'll lock him in a long duration stun, and they do end the streak, but it's Seneko that gets credit for it. Perhaps not completely ideal. They'll have to trade Havos to get it. And yeah, makes that a less than desirable exchange for Navi, even though they do end a streak.
Yeah, looks like the fight recap. Okay, now it's updated. It's a 600 gold swing with the death there. So it's a decent swing for them. Probably bigger as the experience, around 800. But still, even though they end that awesome streak, like you said, it's the Disruptor who gets the kill.
Just look at Havos' inventory. That, I think, spells out the way this game has been going. He's just got nothing. A Morbid Mask, just a casual band of Elven skin for now.
He's just trying to, basically at this point, this is where you go, every time when you're about to die, you just make sure you quick buy, just buy little components here and there. But yeah, this is anything but the dream game for a Drow. And it's something we talked about. A very squishy hero. They were also running a dual lane for a lot of the game bottom, and it came down to that one puck rotation. I feel like that's where the lane just fell apart, bottom lane. They actually struck first there, I believe, when they made the rotation in with the supports and the double damage Disruptor, but ever since that one movement, it's just been NiP getting the jump, and now they want to push. They've got their core items here. Era goes for the armlet, not the Midas we saw from Loda. They have the blink on the puck. Bristleback with the Yule's Vanguard cloak. He is a beefcake, and this is all they need. They can just start taking towers as 5, and Navi, not a great tower defense lineup.
They will sack this tier 1 tower. I think the right play for sure. Just take any opportunity you can to find some space, look to farm, and even Dendi, you just look at all of these inventories on the side of Navi and a complete lack of core items. He does not have a Yule Scepter. Closing in, but still not quite there. Same with the Morphling. He's getting close, but they just need to start completing some items. You look at the Dire side, and already a lot of core items on the way. Handskin has a point booster, so just some casual stats for him. And Limp still pulling up his gold. Did he buy something? What's on that courier? Nope. Okay, just 900 sitting in the bank. So still not much of an inkling as to where he'll go if it's Dagon.
I guess he lost a lot of gold when he gave up that streak. So
recovering a little bit here, but hey, look at the Wisp. He is out farming everyone on the side of Navi.
I just noticed that. Right when you're like, oh, that's just disgusting. Now, granted, it's only by like 100 gold, but the fact that he's even close to their cores is bad.
Still, yeah, the fact
he's already got a point booster. Just a value stat item for Limp or for Handskin.
So this. He's getting to the point where, what do you buy here? I guess the Vlad's is probably your go-to item coming up pretty soon here. Great with the CK. You get all those illusions. Give him some extra damage. And
is this the Bloodstone Wisp game? Is that what we're going to see?
It could be.
Huh. I mean, it could just be a casual point booster. That's entirely possible as well. It's a very cost-efficient item. But
could be kind of the best of both worlds. You go for the casual item, and if this game goes on long enough and farm allows, I'm sure he'll be happy to get a Bloodstone, but that's a very ambitious claim at 17 minutes. That, okay, boys, committed to the Bloodstone. Let's do this.
Yeah, you know, the regen's nice, though. I don't think his cores will really need that much regen. CK Bristle, they're not that mono-intensive. And Bristle also going for the Yules. It gives him a lot of mono regen. Speaking of which, look at NiP, just taking over this Radiant jungle, trying to find pickoffs. They are going to be scouted out here by Havos, but oh no.
Who's scouting out who, though, LD? Havos initiated on. No get-out-of-jail-free card. He's slowed up and brought down in just a matter of seconds. Bristleback will sell that head for some additional gold.
Relocate.
Right onto him. Seneco's ready for it, though. He's got the Static Field, Static Storm Kinetic Field. Era will be silenced up. He actually gets brought down. The Wisp can't heal him fast enough, but now Limp in the trees nearby, trying to finish off Vanscore. Can't quite get it. Laguna Blade comes out, but Wisp still barely lives. Just a handful of hit points, and he makes it back. Limp gets punished in the tree line.
Now they want to deal with the Bristleback. They've got a lot of stuns here from DK Phobos if needed, and it doesn't look like they do. This is going to be 2 dead. It may be a 3rd. This is a massive swing of momentum. If they can just get one more kill, they will. Navi turn it around. Havos down again, but that is going to be a gigantic swing, and it is 3,600 gold, 4,900 experience, and this is why the Disruptor pick just matches up so well against Wisp. You called it in the draft. Great way to deal with the Wisp. And, you know, they relocate directly on top of a Disruptor under tower. No BKB on Chaos Knight. That was a very ballsy and aggressive maneuver by NiP. And it was close to not getting off the Static Storm, though. Seneko dropped it. If he waits like a second longer there, he might get stunned by CK and never drop his combo. But gets it off in the nick of time. And Navi they're still down, but one more fight like that, and this will be a dead even game.
Yep. Absolutely what they need, and that's NiP just getting a little hyper-aggressive, perhaps, not completely respecting the power of Navi's lineup when you're diving that deep, and Disruptor gets his dream set up in a fight like that. There's now a Ghost Scepter out onto Seneko, so that'll give him a little bit of a reset tool here. Dendi completes his Yules off that. Havost, well, closing in on his Yasha. I think he actually has it on the Courier now. Yep, he sure does. So there are some core items being completed off the backside of that fight.
Hey,
Look
guess
at
what?
NiP.
They finally got to smoke Navi without being scouted by an NiP reward. So
ooh, here we go.
This is the dream here for Navi.
They've got like the Bermuda Triangle of wards here around the Roche pit. This is good stuff for Navi.
One of them is about to expire. Actually, both
two
of them are,
yeah.
I guess. So.
For now, they've got that vision on lockdown. Uh-oh, Bristleback. He'll be the one that gets initiated on by this smoke. He breaks it as he's on the retreat. Oh, what beautiful pathing. I think a little bit of luck there for the Bristleback because he just chose to walk around the tree line as they wrapped around. But that is a failed smoke gank in a 4v1 scenario. And now he'll just rendezvous for a smoke.
There is a tier 1 bottom. I almost feel like NiP might have been able to turn it, but with the Wisp as well, some TPs in. But
This
it
is
would
a
have been
smart
close.
smoke, though. They moved into the fog. Even though Navi have that triangle of wards, I don't think they saw this. They will move in on Dendi. There's your blink forward. Dream Coil deployed. The Waning Rift is there. Dendi just trying to wait it out, and he won't be able to get too much off. Disruptor drops his ultimate. Limp could fall here. He's silenced. The Static Storm does have enough damage. Now Navi just trying to split the forces of NiP, and it looks like they'll be successful. A 1-for-1 puck for Lina. Not too bad for Navi.
It's actually technically a win for Navi as far as the numbers go. A big win for experience.
Okay.
And I think most importantly, Havost finally was not the one who died. Like, it sucks that you lose your core Lina for a puck who's maybe more of a utility hero. The Lina a bit more of a carry type for Navi, but ultimately they need this Havost to just get some levels. He's level 12 now. He's picked up the Yasha, and he's doing okay considering how rough the laning stage was. But if he continues to push top, they may look to punish him. Relocates on cooldown for 30. And Havost, knowing that, is going to try to take a tower here, or at least force a TP back. They also get a Blink on Lion. This is a very important item. He's about to get the level 2 ultimate, already 10 and 2/3 it looks like. So I wouldn't count Navi out just yet. This is a manageable deficit, but they're very squishy. So anyone, if they start getting caught out one by one, they can just quickly get team wiped and the game collapse upon itself for them.
Well, Limp TP's up to try and mount a little bit of defense. He gets glimpsed back, and I think really just wanted to show his face on the map so Navi aren't quite as suspicious about this play into the Roche pit. This will be an uncontested Roche. The minus armor from the Bristle makes it very easy, and who grabs the Aegis here will be the Bristleback, not the CK, who's been a victim of a couple of deaths this game. He does have his BKB right around the corner, so feeling like their real frontliner may be the one that goes in just a little more deep when he's got that tactical service. So overall, good trade for NiP. They go tier 1 for tier 1, and they get a Roshan out of it. They also, oh, never mind. There's wards at the same place. Thought they denied that one, but
yeah, on the minimap you actually can't even see both. So.
Yeah, so
I think they used to have it where if there are 2 wards on top of each other, it would like alternate the color on the minimap. I don't know if Valve got rid of that or what happened, but
I don't know.
You kind of just gotta look there manually to check it out.
Threw me off for a second. But.
No autopilot, sir.
So glance again at the overall graph. Things have plateaued a little bit. After that successful fight from Navi, they took a gain, and then since then, it's been a fairly even farm fest. Both teams looking for their next round of core items. For NiP, it's BKBs. And now one is up on the Bristleback with arrows around the corner. He'll be ready to fight. But as always with the Wisp, you got to be careful how you use that BKB. Sometimes you are expecting that return, relocate home, or your Wisp to save you. But behold, you are immune to magic, and Tether does not play nicely with that. So always something you have to be cautious of. Another smoke from NiP, though. They're splitting their forces. 3 in the enemy jungle. They want to try to catch somebody out with this Dream Coil.
It's such a good BKB game. Even though you're completely right, it's not the ideal item on... Oh, Limp scouting here after the smoke breaks, but not able to find an opening with his orb. Didn't get the vision. Even though it's not a great CK item in general as far as like being the most efficient item for an illusion-based hero and for a Wisp partner, at the same time, I mean, it counters everything they've got pretty much. Dendi gonna get caught out here top lane. Can they bring him down in time? No.
Little Yules on Yules action.
Bankscore may not be so lucky though. Gets up the Hex first before Limp can coil. Gotta keep on trucking, and Era coming in hot. Blink forward. Impale connects on 2. Just dropped the coil, my man. Now he's going to. Bankscore though is going to spend a lot of NiP resources on his retreat out. They will end up fragging him. They wanted to hold the coil, but just too good with those disables. They're forced to use it.
Yeah, that was nicely played by Vanscore. I don't think you can ask a Lion to do much more in a situation like that. And if he had lived, that would have been one of those just clowny moments where you have to face palm at least a little bit. Fresh BKBs, though, on the Bristle and the CK. Era gets his delivered. Dire also have some nice aggressive wards down one on this plateau to give some huge vision for Navi rotations towards that secret shop, and also a ward with still a pretty healthy duration, smack dab in the middle of the Radiant jungle. So they are ready to go on the defensive here and really trying to limit the places that Navi have to farm out.
You know, I am so impressed by Havos. He started this game like, I think there was one point in this game where he's like 5th or 6th in net worth as the safe lane farmer, and they got a first blood in his lane. He has climbed his way back up, and he's doing it against a puck with a blink dagger and relocate with few wards around the map, no tier 1 towers to for teammates to arrive at. His movements have been excellent. I think it's been like almost 10 minutes since he's died, and this is after like a series. He's 1 in 6, but he's the 2nd in net worth. That to me just shows that, you know, as much shit as Havos may get from Twitch chat in the community, he does know how to find his farm. He's done a good job of catching up here now. Will it be enough? That's another question, but he's really playing this one well.
Yeah, he's kept his head down. He's avoided the tilt, and not a sexy score, but he's found a lot of space on a map that is a little bit limited on that front, with NiP constantly farming their jungle and moving around, putting pressure on whenever the opportunities present themselves. Phobos, what is he working on here? What's this courier bringing out? Just a Blade of Alacrity for now. I wonder if he's going to try to transition into a little bit more of a carry, and that's the beginnings of a Yasha, maybe a Diffusal Blade coming out. Kind of curious what that'll be.
Yeah, Diffusal Blade wouldn't be terrible just to further kite some of these melee cores, but I think the way the game's going, they may need him to become more of a carry if they...
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Navi are going to win early, that's for sure.
Yeah.
If they're going late right now, can they match up if he's playing pure utility? I don't know. I feel like they do struggle a bit against BKBs, and that's where having some actual right-click on DK Phobos would be nice, but we'll see. Could just be a value Yasha, then, you know, looks to build something else that's a little more of a true right-click item. It's kind of tough to say.
With this strength-based Morphling, even just getting that E-Blade is not a bad choice. Gives you some utility, lets you kind of load up that shotgun to some degree.
Great with some of their other heroes.
Yeah, synergizes so well with their team. That was the trajectory I was expecting him to go if farm would allow for it, but I guess going the more classic kind of right-click style is perhaps a bit more safe. They will find a replicate up in the top lane, baiting out with the dummy Havost here. NiP, don't overreact. Just a Yule's Scepter on cooldown. Not a big deal.
Yeah, so as for Navi, outside of the Morphling, what is the bigger game plan, I guess? Not looking at some of their heroes, Dendi is going to go towards an Ag Scepter, and this is where I think Hanskin going Bloodstone makes a lot of sense, because he did go back for the Vitality booster, so it looks like the Soul booster is coming. Probably will be a full Bloodstone. He's up against so much burst damage, and normally this is a very clowny Wisp item or a very situational one, but I think this game, you can make a legitimate case for it. Oh, bottom lane.
Yep, set up onto Dendi. He'll Yules himself, finds his stun onto the Bristleback to follow up the adaptive. Chain Frost mitigated by the Yules, but it just doesn't matter as the relocate, and a couple of right clicks are more than enough to bring down Ms. Lina. And it's another kill for NiP. Nicely done. Power of the relocate. Anytime you think you might be, okay, we're handling ourselves well, nope, all of a sudden you're way outnumbered.
Yeah, it looks like while that was going on, they dropped the Static Storm mid, trying to find a counter kill, but unable to do so. And now that's on cooldown. Maybe an opening here for NiP to try and take some objectives. Coil whiffed. Well, Static Storm not getting much done. Now it's the Coil's turn to not get much done.
That was close, though. Maybe half a second earlier, and Limp would have stopped that TP, and that's a freebie. Navi walking that tightrope here. The gold graph still rather plateaued, but dipping back in favor of NiP just a little bit more after that successful kill. Havos now with a Mithril Hammer, probably looking at a BKB coming out around the corner. Another good item for him.
You really need the BKB here. It's, I think more than anything, just so that you don't take the reality rift. Because if he reality rifts you into his illusion army, you just die instantly.
Yeah, it's easy to underestimate the damage coming from Phantasm, but yeah, they hit hard. They do normal damage.
Normal damage means ridiculous damage.
Yes. You see illusions, you're like, oh, okay, that's not so scary. No radiance, no problem. But CK illusions are a whole nother beast. And you'll see Era actually use the Phantasm here just to finish off the Tier 2 tower mid. Only one outer tower remaining for Navi. It is that Tier 2 in the top lane, so space getting more and more limited. Seneko farming away in the Dire jungle. And NiP will actually come nearby. I don't think they'll scout him out. They are just more interested in the creep wave to try and siege this tower. But a little risky.
This is the other reason I think the BKB might be needed here for Hvost is we'll see Vangscore caught out by Jonas. BKB gets popped, and in a matter of 4 swipes and a couple of quills, he's done for.
The Warpath, dude. He just 6 Warpath stacks. He's got plus 190. Oh, man.
Yeah. Forget about your puny Drow aura.
Yeah.
On the big bad bristle. But yeah, without a BKB, Hvost can't really split push that easily at this stage. No towers outside the base now, but with a BKB, until they get a Basher or an Abyssal Blade up on one of these cores, most likely he should be able to BKB TP out after aggressively charging a lane. But they're gonna test that theory now. Relocate comes out, Hvost trapped out, tries to manta, but the coil already got him. Doesn't have the BKB yet, and with no Black King bar, he is just food.
Yep, and that's further away from the BKB now as he loses some more gold. The relocate coming back up top. NiP will still have some reinforcements here. Eunice is here, and Navi, are they coming in? Adaptive connects onto the bristle. They need to be a little bit careful.
It's just one of these, okay, adaptive hits, and then can we get a kill on anyone? Doesn't seem like it.
Vanscar comes in. There's your Hex on the Era. They're using their spells, but there's just no follow-up. Everyone on NiP quite healthy. A Chain Frost is used. Vanscar will fall to the Spirits of Handskin. Very awkward fight there from Navi.
That was not coordinated at all. It seemed like Vangscore thought they could go on Era, and the rest of Navi probably saying, he's got Reaver, Armlet, and BKB. We can't go on him. So then Vangscore's already blinked in. Then he tries to run. It's too late. He just ends up dying. But
CK's getting to that point, LD, where these illusions are quite beefy. Yeah.
He's going to get the level 3 ult momentarily, so now you're looking at the potential for 4 Phantasms if he rolls the extra one, plus the main hero. And you're going to have an Armlet that you can use to further buff them up. They'll be sitting around 3,000 health. Granted, they do take the bonus damage, but still, they could just run over the entire Navi base. And you know, as we talked about during the draft, normally when you see CK, one of his weaknesses is if a team's really good at clearing out, like if they've got good AoE, then he's not nearly as scary. We saw Arteezy going for the Refresher Shadow Fiend. Navi don't have that great AoE, so they're going to struggle to bring down these illusions, barring some super heavy right-click, but I mean, they don't really have that either right now.
And the issue is most of their AoE spells are ones you don't want to use on illusions, like Earth Spike. Yeah, that does some AoE damage, but if you're Earth Spiking Phantasm illusions, you're having bigger problems in your team fights. Same with Dragon Slave, LSA. These are all key spells they need to kill heroes. And
it's also assuming they get them off, and it's like, you get Reality Rifted, you will just instantly get cleaved to bits by the army of illusions. You'll die in one swipe of each illusions.
Roche coming up here in about a couple seconds. It gets scouted out by the puck right before it respawns. Always a little bittersweet when you see that, but NiP do have control.
I think that was near max respawn, is that right?
It was in the middle of the road. I think it was right around that like 50% mark or so.
I moved my camera over too late.
So it was pretty close. Limp with the right idea, but you can't just camp out the Roche pit here.
They have so much map control though. If not, I don't see how Navi get to the pit.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter all too much. 14K net worth and experience, the lead for NiP at the moment. They've held on to this momentum. They've still got some BKBs, 9-second charge on the Bristle, and Eredy didn't even have to use his. Still a 10-second charge there, and now about 500 gold away from that Heart of Tarask. Even Limp now moving in towards an Aghanim Scepter, 250 gold away. So just as Navi start to get some BKBs, Hvost has his completed. They've got a way to deal with it. And if that tether gets broken, Hvost will not be having a good time.
Yeah, if the CK can't pull him into his clutches, then he can just walk up and smack him down. That's the other way to do it. It is going to be a Diffusal Blade for the Morphling. I don't know. I feel like there's really not one item that the Morphling can get that will turn big team fights. It's partially due to the nature of the hero. He's much more of a skirmisher, not a big clasher. But even so, what are you really purging here? You've got the Puck Silence. It's a good chasing item. It's a great way to like snare the Bristle and try to bring him down. You can get rid of one of those illusions from the CK, but there's so many of them. I mean, I don't feel like there's any one item. I'm not saying the Diffusal's a bad choice, because I don't think there's an item that would change it, but it's just, this to me is not an item that's going to drastically change the game for Navi.
You're right. I agree with the general sentiment. There isn't an obvious better choice. I do think the E-Blade just offers a little bit more. Obviously, it's a much bigger investment, so perhaps thinking that he won't be able to get there, just want some items in the here and now that will give him a little bit of an edge. So in that context, Diffusal has a very easy build-up, gives him a little bit of extra right-click damage, so It works, but now Roche goes down.
Bloodstone Wisp, baby.
Yep, that's exactly where I was going. Bloodstone is up, and more big items for NiP. There's your heart on the CK, and there's an Aegis of the Immortal on the Bristle, and there's your Aghanims now in the inventory of Puck. So a whole array of new items for NiP to play around with in this next fight. Now even BOT's up on the Bristle map, so he'll be that much faster, have that much more mobility. Look at the Radiant side, and since the last fight, the only thing they've picked up is a BKB on Havost, a Diffusal on Morphling, which is still not completed, but yep, there it is. Delivered now, and well, I guess that Aghanims on Lina wasn't up for the last fight, but I mean, most of these exchanges, it feels like Dendi doesn't even have the opportunity to use his ultimate. Once he gets locked down and initiated on, he either dies instantly or gets bursted in the duration of a series of crowd control. So things still very difficult for Navi. And mid lane, we'll see Limp with an invisibility rune. He scouts out Seneko. He's getting a little bit nervous here. Pops the kinetic field, uses his Ghost Scepter, but to little avail. Jonas will just block him out, and
does spend his gold though. He bought
dead.
2 components towards the egg. So
okay, that's good.
Good not to panic under pressure, but at the same time he's out for 50. I don't think NiP necessarily will push off of this, but not having the disruptor could end up costing them. If
I mean, they could try it. They have Aegis, they have all their ultis except the Dream Coil.
Yeah, they're a little bit far away here on the CK West, but they can always relocate in if they want. They're going to march towards mid, and in the meanwhile, Navi trying to cut them off. Can they get there in time? There they go. It's an ambush on the CK West. They're going to finger the West. Then a Laguna. Bam. See you later. The Ugly Spirit doesn't have a buyback, but oh man, look how quickly these heroes melt. The Reality Rift chunking down a Boast. It's 2 dead, along with the Disruptor mid. Make it 3, and it's going to be a 4th. Quick rotation. Better reactions from NiP.
I think NiP will take that. Wisp for the cores of Navi.
And the best part is it's a Bloodstone Wisp, so she comes right back.
It is almost back. Yeah, they had to use both the Laguna and the Finger of Death to bring down the Wisp. I think it's the right idea. There's no way you win that fight if the Wisp stays alive. There's no way you're going to burst down Era, but you saw Era just pops the BKB, goes man mode, and just cuts through the entire Navi team to make some time for his reinforcements to arrive. Now buybacks used on the Dro as well as the Lina. Tier 3 tower's already gone down, and the Glyph has been used. So now Barracks exposed. NiP on the aggressive with Jonas in the front lines. He still has the Aegis of the Immortal. BKB is cooled down, so he can be just about as brave as he wants here. He's even got the Wisp backing him up. Handskin putting out massive amounts of regen. They will start to slow siege the Barracks. It is a 5v5. They don't have their Phantasm. It's still on cooldown for a while, but Navi don't have the Finger, so still pretty even on that front. What's the play for NiP?
Slow siege. Don't overcommit. You still have Aegis here. Your Bristleback also is a buyback BOTs, so let him, as you said, just stay in front. Slowly work on the range Rex. At least get some objective. Don't put anyone else at risk, because if you start losing heroes one by one, that's where Navi excel. They're very good at chasing down a fleeing hero, but they're not so good at these larger 5v5 flashes. And now the jump in from your Puck. The Yule Scepter will come out, disrupt their Static Storm, almost a complete whiff. Only the Puck caught, but all impale off the mark in the end. The Yule Scepter brings him down. He gets relocated back out. May end up taking down the Thunderstrike low, but not dead just yet. When meanwhile, the boss has found his opening, starts to work on the melee rack. CK coming in hot and heavy. His ultimate will cool down in 30, but Jonas starting to dive the tier 4 towers. He may lose his Aegis once. Don't think he dies the second time here unless he chooses to commit. Speaking of choosing to commit, that's exactly what Era's done. Now he wants to get the hell out. Can Navi punish this? They've lost their range racks. The dieback from the Drow Ranger in the midst of it as well. And Era will end up falling low here. Relocate not available. Will go down in the end. 422 gold now given to the Disruptor as Jonas starts diving the freaking well. Just give me your racks and I'll let you live. It's the call. He'll take him. And now he'll look to walk away. They got to get him. Glyph's back into tower range. Well, they might have gotten him now. Oh, they needed that kill, but it's a costly hold nonetheless for Navi. They lose their racks.
3 buybacks used, and it's a dieback for Havost. Yeah, that's the big storyline there.
You know what's crazy is
much.
I don't know if this graph has everything. It's still a 3,000 gold swing for Navi, apparently. I don't think it has all the buybacks, but even with the other 2, they probably still come out slightly ahead in terms of numbers there, but not far enough ahead to consider it a good hold.
No, definitely not. And they even use one of their sentries here to get some vision of the high ground to make the defense, but that's valuable vision they'll need outside of the base at this point, where they're going to get a little more starved. The big breadwinner, I suppose, is this Disruptor. Seneko stayed alive for most of those kills, if not all of them, and he now gets an Aghanim Scepter. So big pickup there. Gives you a little bit of an option to initiate onto NiP. But still, you look at the team net worth and experience, it's still a 20k deficit for Navi. A long ways to go to start finding their footing back in this game. And I mean, taking team fights to NiP, that'll be difficult, but then after that, they've still got a lot of structures to chew through, and as we've talked about a few times, they do not push so well. But for Navi to get back into this game, they're going to have to win more than one team fight before they can even get close to Tier 3 towers.
Yeah, NiP in the early to mid game are not really a great pushing lineup, but they're getting to that point now where if the CK illusions aren't dealt with, and you know, you might say, well, you have Lions, you can Hex and Mana Drain and kill off too quickly, but the reality of the fight is that he pops Phantasm, he immediately pulls that Lion in, and he just dies instantly if he's not sitting very far back. So I don't really think they have reliable ways to deal with all the illusions, and even if you kill a couple, the rest of them still push very quickly. Not switch to the Bristleback. So I think NiP are getting to that point where they're actually a decent pushing lineup, still by no means exceptional, but good enough that they will take an objective if Navi give up a kill and let them get in position. Speaking of which, they make their way bottom now into Havos that, oh, they're going to spot him out now, not going for it. It looks like Limp hunting the other direction. Maybe wants to cut off the backup heroes, and he's going to find him now. Isolates Vangscore, Blink, Silence is there. The Orb not going to connect, has the coil if needed. Now the Yule Scepter coming out. They'll glimpse back the puck into a Static Storm, but he's going to BKB dodge the glimpse. He'll end up being completely fine. Gets one. The coil already used. Nico will TP out. Chain Frost was a bounce in here. Didn't get too much done as Havos desperately tries to fight. The Beefcakes aren't in the fight, but now Arrow will make his way in. A Gem hits the deck in the middle of all this.
Okay. Yeah, that was on the Lion.
Okay. Oh, that's...
He was carrying it.
Did they just buy it?
Oh, Seal Kitty takes a Laguna. Now Dendy, he recovers the gem. Puts the Yules out on the CK. Tries to TP home. Another Yule Scepter. It saves the gem, so it is recovered. Ends up being an okay little skirmish there for Navi, a 1-for-1.
Now they're trying to make a go on Sunico mid. Potentially Limp. No coil, though.
That was the reveal of the Aghanim Scepter, though, on Seneko. Yeah, smart choice to BKB that glimpse. His puck, I think, definitely would have died if he was stuck in that Static Storm.
BKB just solves so many of NiP's problems. Like,
yeah,
it's a Drow Ranger draft, so you kind of assume they're going to have physical damage, but the truth is, Navi spend all their time in these fights running from the tanks in the front lines, it feels like. And so, do they really have much physical damage? Not if they're not right-clicking.
10-second BK, or 8-second BKB charge wasted there on the Bristle. He got glimpsed. It was super short range, and he BKB'd after the glimpse was already completed and then just ran away. Not ideal, but also not the biggest of deals. CK moving into a Manta style next item, it looks like. Yasha in the inventory, so getting even more illusions out on the field.
And then it just gets to the point where, like, cool, you've got a Lion. Doesn't matter. I instantly have the potential for a seven unit army. Like, you're not hexing, mana draining, and you know, purging this entire army down. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's also, you don't really want to you want to try to instant kill the Phantasm illusions because they're a little scarier than the Manta ones, of course.
Because they do 100% damage as well.
And you can't tell the difference when it's just massive chaos with CKs everywhere. Sometimes it's even hard to identify the real CK from all of his friends. So
it's also hard to identify him when you're dead, which tends to happen pretty quickly.
That's here. This Bristle, though, boy, is he big. Farming way ahead of everyone else. 22k net worth. Leading farmer on Navi is that Morphling at only about 14k. He now has the Skull Basher, 4,300 gold. Not sure if he wants the Abyssal next item, if there's something else that he's pulling up for. He does have a lot of these smaller ticket items, your S&Y, your Vanguard, so needs to start looking more towards your big inventory, maybe like an Assault Cuirass, stuff like that. Abyssal could come in handy here, though. That's just another tool to cut through these BKBs. Now, speaking of BKB, Havos initiated on, will use his. That's an 8-second BKB charge. Tries to TP out. Do they have the damage? They do not. They relocate, put on cooldown, but not a bad trade for NiP. Getting that BKB closer to the 5-second mark will make things easier as this game goes on.
Yeah, Havos definitely has to take those risks. Sure, it sucks that his BKB goes to a lower duration, but he's got to get outside of the base and farm. If he's just sitting in the base, Drow Ranger especially, this is not a Naga Siren. It's not a hero who can use its illusions to farm very effectively, so it may hurt him in the upcoming fights, but it's also a risk he simply has to take. And we're going to see another item come out now, which you mentioned earlier, Andrew. I think it's a big one. A Vlad's on the Wisp with the CK and a Bristleback as your two big frontliners. The armor, the damage aura, very nice, but I think most importantly that lifesteal will really come in handy for them.
It's the whole kit and caboodle here. This is always a good pickup on the Wisp, and in games like this, it transitions into an amazing pickup.
That's the other thing, is they have Frost armor. That's where Navi's physical damage feels a bit underwhelming as well. Is you've got the Vlad's plus armor. At some point, maybe that Assault Cuirass you mentioned comes out. Most of these heroes have some form of damage blocker plus armor as far as items go, and you throw the Frost armor on top of it. Navi, go for this big smoke. hoping to find someone. They will isolate Limp. They glimpse him right back into a Static Storm Kinetic Field. Has the BKB, but it's not going to be available as that is an Aghanim's Disruptor Ultimate. They'll get the kill. He can buy back, though, and everybody comes roaring in. Era going to arrive with the Wisp in tow. They want to jump on Dendi here. They'll get him. Chain Frost lobbed in to secure that kill, and Navi forced back right as the big boy respawns. Roshan is now up, and it looks like NiP will get this one yet again.
Yeah, Lena for Puck, another fairly even exchange. I guess it does favor Navi, given that they are on the back foot and behind by a pretty big margin. They'll certainly find the net worth gain, but now does NiP have a Rosh option at their disposal? This is third Rosh, so something that Navi will definitely want to contest if at all possible. We've got the Wisp up top, but these 3 cores can bring it down pretty quick. Arrow walks in, he scouts it out, starts going to work. He's chopping that wood. He's already picked up his Manta style. And we did see the Abyssal Blade debuted in that fight. He used it on Dendi, but even though Abyssal Blade is your trump card against BKB, it feels like Yules is the trump card against Abyssal. We saw Dendi just Yules himself through the stun, and, or I guess right after it did help out. I guess it could have been there's so many Yules in this game, it's hard to tell who's Yulesing who. There's 2 on each team, and can't tell if it's a self-Yules or an aggressive one, but if it was an aggressive Yules, then it actually did Dendi.
I mean, you get that cool fight bottom where Dendi throws out his own Yules, then DK Phobos comes in when they're making their elaborate plans to steal the gem and TP him out.
I feel like we're getting to a point where we need a Yules indicator where it needs to be colored or somehow identified whether it's a self-Yules or an enemy Yules. You don't have to spam through inventories to see whose is on cooldown.
I wouldn't mind that. I think that could be a nice addition. The other thing is, you know, maybe for Force Staffs at some point we'll need that as well, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels like nobody buys Force Staff nowadays.
Is it like the little trail turns a color so you see who used it or something? I like that.
Yeah. Something. Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
That'd be a cool indicator. It could
or even like if the tornadoes for the Yules were slightly colored in some way.
Yeah, like the little TP graphic.
I mean, I'm sure Valve will find a way to
get Ice Frog on the horn, LD. We've got a good one. They
gotta find out how to sell hats for that, and then they'll do it. But
there you go.
In the meantime, here comes your Seeds. They want to slowly bring down these illusions, but you know, while Vangscore just tries to get a single mana drain off, the tower is almost dead already. Era in the front lines has the Aegis, very tanky, goes on to Saniko. Static Storm Kinetic Field gets absolutely nothing done. Saniko will fall, and now Limp in through the front door. The coil connects, holding a Boast in position. He gets pounded by this Chaos Knight, and NiP close in on what could be a 2-0 sweep. They'll glimpse back Jonas, but he's tanky, has the Abyssal Blade. Do they want to defend him here is the question. Orb comes in.
Do they even need to?
No, he's fine. Never mind.
He's fine. He's on the run. This is a lot of buybacks used. Their big ulti's on cooldown now. Boast, big damage coming on him. This could be a dieback. Abyssal Blade flies down from the heavens by Jonas. He gets stunned up by the adaptive strike. There's your Reality Rift onto Dendi. It's a dead Lena. Now the buyback there. Navi's running low on reset tools. They're 2 lanes of barracks down. Era says, let's go for the tier 4s, boys. He starts pounding on one of them. They're relegated back to the well. Dendi stunned up. There's a gust onto Era, making some space. Oh, Dendi lives. Not a dieback there, but NiP, they're all still so healthy. All 5 still alive. That's a tier 4 tower down. They want to do this one in style, LD. Looks like someone's got a hot date tonight. They want to get out of this game ASAP.
Yeah, NiP have places to be, Navi. You're not going to slow them down, it seems. The ninjas in pajamas looking like it. They are playing extremely well here. Seal Kid will end up falling, but they still work on this throne. Era healthy, has the Aegis. Manta still available. Navi, there's just no way at this point. 3 seconds stun on a boat. They'll bring him down again. Limp's Dream Coil, by the way, is about to cool down. This push has been going for so freaking long. They've only gotten through 1 CK life. They'll try to go for the glimpse back here, but it's BKB dodged by Limp as they begin to work on the throne. Laguna Blade at the ready. There's your coil. Catches out 4 in the shadow of the well. Jonas just taunting them, just blasting Navi back to their well. Out of the Summit 3 Europe, it looks like the throne dropping low. Maybe they can hang on here for a little bit longer, but
now NiP's buying back. This fight continues. Era now down to about half health. The throne has already been glyphed. It is exposed and taken damage. Handskin gets relocated back behind the throne.
No,
he will finally fall. They want this. Now a stun onto Era. NiP starting to retreat out of the base, but no, even a buyback onto Handskin. This Wisp will try to get back into the fight.
Boast. He's in the middle of no man's land. Gets run down by the vicious armadillo, and now NiP come roaring back in. No Drow Ranger, no plus damage. That's a dieback. Your Lion also dead for 80. It's gotta be the end here for Navi, right? I think so anyway. The chase continues. Onto Phobos. They'll club him down. It's now suddenly 4 dead. Dendi will be the last man down. And
now
with
a buyback from Era. Every buyback is on cooldown except the Morphling. What a ridiculous way to end this series. Navi get eliminated, but at least they go out in style. Wow. I'm just what.
They were I mean they were out of it before that fight even began, but just a crazy chaotic way to end the game. Woo. NiP KO Navi 2-0, and you know, a team that I thought might make it to the winner bracket finals. I actually thought they were going to beat ASUS.Polar. I think a lot of people did, but I still see NiP as one of the strongest candidates, if not the strongest right now in the lower bracket to make a run and qualify.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Very impressive. And Navi, well, they put up a good fight, but unfortunately for them, this is the end of their run, and now it's campaign time. They gotta go for that redemption vote. Their only hope here to make it to the Summit 3 in person.
They may have some stiff competition. You've got Alliance, Cloud9, some fan favorite teams in the lower bracket right now.
One of them is getting eliminated. That's what's coming up next. It's an exciting day, a sad day for 2 of these 4 teams, but exciting for viewers at home.
Man, that was intense. I just took a shower. I feel like I need a cold shower now just to kind of shake off the nerd sweat after that game. Yeah. That was intense.
Oof. So, all right, we've got another best of 3 coming up today, as we mentioned, Alliance versus Cloud9. When is that scheduled to start? There were rumors of the teams wanting to start a little bit early. I'm not sure if the admins had settled on a new time. That was a pretty quick series, so I reckon
Andre is trying to get this match started sooner.
Okay.
Sounds like 1700 is the earliest. They would prefer 1730. So we'll see.
We'll update you guys. So we'll have a break, but stick around. There's still a lot of good Dota to come. And again, this is elimination, so either Cloud9 or Alliance will be making an early exodus. Stick around to figure out which team it is.
I was actually one of the first people to sign up on Vulcan. It's a chance to not only win money, but do it in a way that's like really exciting.
I entered in one $10 contest, was feeling a little lucky that day, and actually I won $400.
When I tried out for the Caitlyn headshot one, that's only 10 bucks. I won $1,000.
The prize pool is up to $1 million.
Play on Vulcan, watch League, get paid.
Support this channel by checking out Vulcan.com. Use the invite code below.